Okay. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name is Catherine Lord, and I'm broadcasting from London. I'm the award-winning author of the book There's More to Books Than Reading. An amazing guest here today, who is the 10-second guru of maths. First of all, my passion is about making learning fun across the curriculum, and his passion is making maths fun and really easy. Um, I've just actually watched a Sky interview of him, and it's an amazing story from his childhood. He was not the greatest in all of his subjects, and he's gone from there to an award-winning author. He is an inspiration. So, Philip Chan, please can you tell us about yourself?
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you be listening. Well, first of all, grateful for you allowing me on your show and to share this special time with you. And it was the first time I met you at the BAFTA, how amazing you are and the work that you're doing for children. Now, I got 9 grandchildren, would you like to actually do the nannying for me, please? My passion really, maths is actually starting from a need because at school all the way to age 14, I was bottom in every subject, and that really did not feel nice at all. And also, I'm a little guy, and also, when I was younger, I was a lot smaller, of course, and so you get bullied and so on. So eventually, I said I got sick and tired of being dumb. To say, how can I just do better? You see, working hard is not the solution. I worked very hard, but I got nowhere. So I did my research, and to my astonishment, there's these techniques been around for 100, 200, 3,000 years old. Oh, those listening and watching, I'm not 1,000 years old. Just get this right, by the way. And they got all these amazing, so I started trying them out, and I thought, oh, great, it works. And I showed it to my friends, and they said, wow, how do you do that? So over a number of years, I became very good at maths. And original techniques, I always say to people, look, if you nick one idea, you are dirty, low-down thief. But if you nick a bunch of ideas, you're doing research. So I have done lots of research. So my journey is actually, it's been a lot of ups and downs, and there's been lots of tears. And I always said one day, if share these techniques to make people's life better, more fun, and don't have to go through the stress and the pain and anguish I had to go through, then that would be worth it, even for one child. I'm very fortunate enough then eventually, just like yourself, a qualified teacher, and you're amazing. You're one of the most qualified nanny in this country. I'm just and all by that. So, and I became a teacher, and then over the years I've done a lot of workshops over the last 45 years, and I do about, on average, about 19 workshops a year. On average, I have somewhere around about the 180, 200 people coming. So based on that rough estimate, I've personally have taught minimum of over 200,000 kids. But that's not the important thing. It's actually also I have a trained teachers as well, and they are the inspiration, because for every one teacher I train, they will inspire hundreds. So it's not about me. And I always say people, the obvious is not obvious until it's obvious. So it's just like you, Kat. You've been through a certain experience. The things that's obvious to you now are not obvious to the average nanny, and the information in your book will just help to make their life so much better and also more fun. So back to you.
Brilliant, thank you. I know you've, like you say, you've mentored 200,000 children and many, many more adults. The one child I'm most interested about is the child genius that you've mentored, and you've even co-authored a book. Can you tell us about him?
Well, in fact, this is the book called 10 Seconds to Child Genius. And this is the amazing young man by the name of Trey Sean Ben Salami. Now, a few years ago, he was a very, very shy lad, and he wouldn't speak to anybody, even to his family. But to his credit, he actually decided that, no, I am going to do something. I am going to get out of the comfort zone. But he's got an amazing mum. His mum's got 5 kids, and she encouraged all of them to say, "Come on, go out, do things." She took them around to all these great trainers, speakers, and really positive people. So over a period of time, he came out of his shell, and this year in the Channel 4 Child Genius program, he qualified as the top 20 contestants in the Channel 4 TV. And that's amazing. In fact, I believe then as a result of that, and what the challenge she said overcome, I think Ethan has actually heard of him now, and they actually asked him to go and have a chat. So, well, how fantastic is that?
Amazing.
And
that
also
is amazing.
And he's also got amazing tutor, not maths tutor before me, and as a result of his great work, and he's actually dedicated to him in his book, or it's our joint book, but it's his book as well. Yeah, and his thanks to his teacher. Now, I written another book here, is in thanks for my old teachers who inspired me to change. Mr. Duff, wherever you are, Mr. Roland, wherever you are, I'm really so thankful. I've caught out with one of my 3 maths teachers, Mr. Roland Duff. He's the man that really changed my thinking. He said a couple of things. First of all, he said, look, there's no such thing as a stupid question if you honestly don't understand. And he said, but the one sentence that really changed this here is, he said, it's better to feel stupid for 5 minutes than stay stupid for the rest of your life. And and something clicked, and I say, he's right. Why not take a chance? And when I started taking the chance to start asking lots of questions, in fact, I used to bunk my teacher to death after that. And he said, "Oh no, not Chan again, not Chan again." I was very surprised that they didn't actually call me names and say, "Go away, you stupid person." I did that in the past. So, but there was only one teacher that put me off. But the rest of them were fantastic. You see, this is the danger. Sometimes you have one bad experience, and you just imagine everyone is the same. And I made that huge mistake. But thanks to Mr. Duffy's, who pushed me, or actually kicked my bottom, really. That's amazing. And over something like a 2-term period, I went from set 10 in every subject to set 2 in most subjects. I never got to set 1 in any subject, and in fact, when in my days it's the O level, and in my school, if you don't pass the mock exam, you don't get enter. You have to do a private entry. Now, I'm a Chinese person, and I missed the pass mark by something like 1 mark, and I thought, oh no, I got to go home to tell my mum and dad. They are going to make mincemeat out of me. You know those little dumplings you have on a Chinese restaurant. That's the mincemeat they make of boys that failed their maths tests. And I thought, oh no, and I plea and beg, and the head of maths then says, well, no, sorry, you missed the pass mark. Tough luck. But luckily, Mr. Duff said, well, if you're really serious, I am going to help you. And he saved my bacon. Actually, otherwise, had I gone home and said to my mum and dad, the school is not going to enter me, gosh, my bottom would be like mincemeat. So thanks. And that was the transition. So one person believed me. And sometimes, and I said to myself, if because the one person believed me, I rather staying dumb for the rest of my life, he changed my life. And in my workshop or in what I do, if I can inspire just one person to change their life, and over a number of years now, I've taught in 9 schools in this country, and over the last 47 years, and well, some of my ex-pupils, they're just amazing. They have achieved so much, far greater than I. And some of them have top musicians, they're filmmakers, Uh, Also, other has actually gone through quite tragic things like getting divorced 2, 3 times. But the amazing is their children, and I know they've been amazing because despite it's a traumatic time if you ever get divorced. But some of them, when you look at children, say, "Wow, they must have done something so good to actually weather their children through to become great people." So for me, that is just a blessing. So back to you.
That's amazing. Well done. Yeah, no, it's important to have that one, even have one person to inspire you. And I'm really glad that you inspiring others. You mentioned earlier that you did so much research, so I imagine you read a lot of books. Can you remember what your favorite fiction book was as a child?
Oh gosh, I reading was never my good one. Actually, that's another story. When I first came to this country, I didn't speak a word of English. My mum and dad was busy working, so I had to actually find a way to teach myself how to actually speak English and read. And it wasn't funny then. Looking back, it's quite funny. I always share that story because, when you hear foreign language, it's just noise. So I didn't say, well, what happened is, can I try and pick one word? Well, so I look at people's body language, and if they're smiling, I thought that must be good word. So let's try that word out. And there's a number of times I thought I was trying to be complimentary to people, and I almost got hit by them. And then I thought, no, I obviously said something that offended them, but I didn't know what I was saying. I could actually get killed. So eventually, I said, oh, I know, comics. The first set of comics I picked up was Batman. And now, if you have ever seen Batman comics, you've got these pictures and it's got words like biff, buff. I thought it meant the words, but actually it didn't at all. And so I'm sure in my first 6 months, when I was trying to have a normal conversation, I must have come across as though I'm this weird guy. Because how piff, puff are you? And that was a crazy time. It's fun looking back, but it certainly was not fun. So I sort of trying to read lots of books, but I never got to grips really. And I was thinking, something the Beanos and Dandies was my main reading for a long time. But don't tell anyone, But if,
Just told everyone.
But actually through those 2 or 3 little words and the cartoons, I then got a few more words, and eventually I said, right, okay, learn 3 new words a day. And then over the 6 months period, the transformation was quite dramatic. I mean, looking back, I said, I don't really know how I got from A to B. I just fumbled my way through, looking at Batman, thinking that those sound words like biff, buff, wham, it's actually a word. I'm sure my friend said, this is a real crazy, guy.
So thinking of books now, what do you love to read to your grandchildren?
Well, actually, there's the simple forms of Bible story, and sometimes there's little stories, because I think stories just can convey so much more. So actually, I bought them a first simplified Bible story, and they seem to help. But also, as I said, it's really little stories. I don't actually see as much as my grandchildren as I would like, so that's a pity.
It's great you get to read with them.
Yes, it's always nice if we can read to them, because I think it's just stimulate their imaginations. And I think from a teacher, when you can actually read stories to young children, whether you're a parent or grandparents or even older brothers and sisters, because that will really help to stimulate the imagination. And in my research, what I have discovered that actually stimulate the imagination to create pictures in your mind, that will actually help to stimulate the memory. In fact, a lot of people, when they get older, they say, well, actually, I got a poor memory. That is because you have let your imagination go. I think the thing I noticed when people are watching a lot of television, the image is all created for them. But if you listen to radio and also, if you read, you have to create the pictures in your mind. So therefore, the younger you are to do more reading, so you can actually have to and then generate those images in your mind. That will help two things. One, will help your retention because you exercise your brain power. Also, when you have that imagination, you will start to search for patterns. And one of the key things is if you can teach any child to actually look for patterns, that will help them to learn much, much quicker in mathematically and other things. And the other thing is, I'm sure that if you teach a child to play music, any instrument, that has a pattern by itself, and that is a great, great way of learning. So those are just some of the experience I had. But as I said, the book I've written is not about me. It's how to actually share with the parents, the teachers, how you can make it more fun. Because a lot is coming back. This book here was inspired really because to save the anguish because of the pain. I still sometimes occasionally sit down and there's a memory go right back and say, and there's a little tear occasionally come to my eyes because those emotions are still very deep ingrained. And in the workshop, if I can actually share that with one person, actually in the workshop that Trace Shaw and I did recently, there was a parent who actually brought her child, and she said, have special needs. She's a lovely kid, tried very hard, but the existing method that's been taught to her she just cannot relate to that. I think one of the challenge now, I've been a teacher for so long and also trained other teachers and to do a lot of research over the last 40 odd years. The way education is taught in school, it actually is not the way how the brain actually works. So for instance, if you're a left-handed person and I gave you a right-handed tool, that is not going to work very well at all. And similarly, vice versa. Now, for instance, let's give you some example. When we are doing adding or taking away, quite often we do the column method and we go from right to left. Well, actually, the brain doesn't work like that. Mentally, it goes from left to right. Just think about when you read a book, you read from left to right, not right to left, unless you're Chinese, that is. so then obviously we go this way. Actually, we read down and then we read the wrong way around, as it were. So my advice for parents is, if ever you can actually read to them, just like what Cats is doing, to encourage you and play. You can never undervalue play, and the more they can play young, and this is why teaching anything, whether English, reading, maths, through games, that is a great way to stimulate the brain. And in fact, the more we can stimulate the right brain, which is the side that very imaginative and that retain lots of the memory, you can actually increase the memory power by 10, 50, 1,000 times. The existing method of teaching at school is actually very much left brain. I actually decided this is my right, but it's your left, because that is very singular. You can only do one or two things at a time. But when you actually train to use the left and right together, you can actually learn thousands of things in a very, very quick succession of time. So I don't know if you can hear me at the moment. Okay, let me just carry on for the moment. As I said, my young friend here, Trey Sean, he's now become an absolute amazing person. He's gone from who's actually
we are waiting for Kat to reconnect, Phil, so you could carry on.
Okay. So my young friend here, he's been through an experience that I'm sure there are thousands of children out there who's experienced, then they feel unworthy. But sometimes when I say to people, there's no one that actually bad at maths. You are either being taught incorrectly, or maybe you're given a method that's doesn't akin to your learning. And also, I say to a lot of teachers, if you are doing your teaching and your pupils say, I don't understand it, it's no good saying to them, you know, let me do this again 10 times over, because doing that same way, it doesn't matter. You need to find a different approach. It's coming back to the analogy, if someone's a left-handed, it's no good giving that person a right-handed tool. Give that person a left-handed tool, and all of a sudden, he or she will make life a lot easier, and vice versa. A routine and habit is crucial for young children, and therefore those of the parents who actually have a set routine for your children, you are doing amazing things, because you're giving the right platform. The other thing is, if you're walking on a street, just get them to notice things. You know, are they passing the trees? You know, number plates. Are there any certain number plates? You know, can you remember the 3-digit on number plate you just gone past? So whenever you can make them active, little and often is the key thing. And the other thing I would say to people, sometimes the obvious is not obvious until it's obvious. Now, let me share with you what I mean. So if I say to you, what's 3 times 4? Well, a lot of you say it's 12. It's actually 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, there's another pattern. If I say, what's 7 times 8? Now, for those of you actually now seeing the pattern, the pattern is 56, because it's 5, 6, 7, 8. So now, when there's no patterns, then we like to do. We remember silly things. So that I do remember silly things. So I remember. So I often laugh at myself. So here's another one for you to try. Now, there's no one right at home, so you can say this aloud. Say this with me. 8 8s are 64. Because I ate and I was sick on the floor. So 8 8s are 64. So it's sometimes as easy as that. And interesting enough, this book is, for me, is twofold. One, it helps me to share my passion, and hopefully it's my legacy. But the other thing is, every book I sell, £1 goes to UNICEF, and my charity is UNICEF. I'm also lucky enough to be a children's champion for UNICEF. I've been a member now for 54 years. And one of the most exciting things last Christmas, when they actually roll out their new program, and this new program is going to go out to 193 countries, and that is amazing. For those of you sometimes watch on news and there's disasters going on, but only 1 or 2 get reported each year. But there are at least 200 to 300 every single in different parts of the world. And UNICEF is amazing. They have a response, 48-hour response team that will go to anywhere in the world. And in order to have that funding, the money has to be there with the supplies. And the UNICEF headquarters for the emergency center is actually at Copenhagen, and this amazing place, which I hope to go one day as a guest to see how they go into operation. And they got everything packed ready. And if there's somewhere in the world that's been hit by a disaster, freak weathers, the team would then go out, get everything ready, and fly out anywhere in the world in 48 hours. So, if you are interested in the work of UNICEF, please just go on the website to look at the unicef.uk, because they're amazing, and I'm just so grateful. And actually, this Christmas, I'm actually being invited to the concert at Singapore's Cathedral, and again, that's a great place to do a share great time, and also the money will be actually raised for that. And in fact, the Radio Works is doing a fantastic event very shortly on the 18th and 19th of this month, during the Stardust War, The tickets are actually £0, but people are asked to put in a £20 donation to one of the 7 charities. And we would love for you to come to have a great time where you meet fantastic authors and people from across different parts of the world. And they have so much skills that you can share to inspire you, your children. And some of them, these people are just amazing that they've been through lots of challenges themselves. But because they want to give and to share with you how to actually decrease the pain, get rid of the pain, so you can move on and have a better life. That's a tremendous time. I'm hoping some of my friends will be coming with their children. I have to say to the listeners, I keep saying 12-year, but he actually just turned 13. He has got 2 other brothers and sisters who are from age 4, 8, 10. Himself is now 13, and his older sister is 17. And amazing that each of them have got their own business. How about cool is that? That a 4-year-old, but you see, this is the inspiration from their mum. So those your parents. Often when I meet parents in the workshops, they say, "But I'm not good at maths." Doesn't matter. It's not that you are not good at maths, but if you can inspire your children to do things, then one day, whatever they have deep inside, there's a stardust factor that's inside them. And if you can actually just help them to give them a platform, yeah, and just release, you'd be amazed what they can achieve. And so at the Stardust Award on the 18th and 19th, that's an opportunity for you and your family to be inspired by great people from different fields. And I'm certainly looking for it. And yeah, Kat Lewis is amazing. And I known her like a year ago when we met at the BAFTA. We got talking, and her book is just, it blows my mind, because children, in fact, let me just explain. The first 7 years, 50% of the brain development happens in the first 7 years. Think about the first 3 years. How did we actually learn to speak? So if I was a Chinese person and I was born in this country, automatically I pick up English. If you are English people, a person, you say you actually are born in China, you automatically pick up Chinese. How does that happen? Lots of the learning is actually subconscious, because all around we're taking information in all the time. And when we do that, we do one of 3 things. Because there's so much information coming in that's bombarding us, we tend to either, first of all, delete some information, we distort them, or we generalize it. That's good and bad, but sometimes we're deleting vital information. And I always say to people, how do you know what you don't know? Well, the answer is until someone say, "Hey, did you notice this?" And all of a sudden, you've seen things. For instance, like, someone said, "Hey, do you see what's her name's wearing that tie dress?" And for the next week, you see that tie dress all over. But in fact, they've been all around you, but somehow your mind just been delete that information. In the maths workshop, which Tracy and I did, in fact, we actually gave a number, something like 7, 4, 5, 6 times 9999, and Trey just wrote their answer down, and people were like, "Wow, how do you do that?" And in fact, Trey then took over from me, and after about 2 or 3 minutes coaching from Trey to the people there, yeah, we were at an event. We got something like about 40, 50 children aged 5 to 14. And literally, after Trace was coaching them for about 2, 3 minutes, almost 80% of us doing it in under 5 seconds. Now, I am the 10-second maths expert, and they were showing me up. So how do I feel about that? Well, good and bad. But good is then they actually are better than me. And I always say this in my maths workshop. You can never be as good as me. But once I've shared with you what I know, you can be better than me. And that's the key thing. As a teacher, parent, or as grandkids, we want our children to be better. and to give them the platform. So if you can actually have great information what you use and share, whether it's my information or the information from Cat Law, and her work is probably more vital because she's doing right at the start, you know, in the early years, because when you get that right, it just accelerate the learning from, you know, from there on. The other thing is, I don't care how many degrees you got, the emotional factor is so crucial. And also through the right sort of stimulus, through play, the right way to talk to kids. There's no such thing as failure. There's only outcome. So if a child has actually didn't get something, like, don't criticize them. Just say, fantastic, fantastic. Just look at Thomas Edison. When he actually invented the light bulb, you know, a reporter said, look, Mr. Edison, it took you, you actually goofed up 10,000 times. How do you feel about that? And his response was, actually, it took 10,000 ways to actually come to the right conclusion. Every step was actually a learning step. And also, when he so-called fell, what people don't understand is, although he was famous for the light bulb, he actually also discovered so many other thousands of gadgets, inventions that we never would have today. So what happened? You know, have you gave up after 9,999 times? We, you know, we would have the light bulbs. Yeah, I wouldn't be talking to you like this. So you see, the attitude is important. There's no such thing as failure. There's only outcome. So when your child didn't get the right answer, just say, well done, have another go. Just encourage it, because your encouragement is going to be actually magnify 1,000 million times to improve their self-esteem. And also when they actually have their own children, they will then duplicate that. And you, when you become a grandparent, you can help them to actually be super, and actually to create the stardust, which the Radio Works where Marina Nanny, that's her dream and passion, to actually help people to find their stardust. Now, although I've been a qualified teacher for a long time, there was also lots of doubt in myself, and I didn't believe in myself. And thanks to Marina and also some of my other mentors, they actually helped to shape my thinking. So I'm actually going back to school right now. So after many years, I am going back to school, you know, after my retirement. So I'm looking forward to that. And every person has something to teach me. And I'm so thankful that, you know, Cat Law has actually given me the opportunity to share this with you.
Wow, Philip, this is so beautiful. I was listening to you and I'm thinking, oh my God, there's so much wisdom. And I know wisdom doesn't just come to somebody to pay them a visit once in a while. And, you know, you made me think of the times when I was a parent with very young children. And I remember you said something that really triggered something for me. I remember that I never been worried or concerned that the children won't listen to me and what I'm going to do about. I always thought that they are looking up to me. And of course, I'm looking up to them because now they're adults. And because we are approaching the end of the show tonight, and I'm so grateful you just spoke from the heart and brought so much light in our lives all the time. But tonight I thought you brought something else, something very, very special. And I think the message that you are always a child. And yes, you grow up, and yes, life is making you getting older sometimes. But as long as you stay young at heart, as long as you love children, all children are artists. And the challenge for our society is how to help them remain artists at heart when they grow up. So with
I
that
think
in mind, with that in mind, I would like to thank you again. I can't wait to meet you on the red carpet. This is where best friends meet at Radio World, on the red carpet at the Stardust Awards. And we are all in for a huge celebration of life, celebration of the human kindness. And just remember, there are people who take care of those who cannot take care of themselves. Just have that in mind when you go to bed tonight, after you have dinner. Just remember that Philip Chan was telling you how much work needs to be done for our society to get better, for our every single one of us to feel abandoned, because giving helps you feel abundant. And there's no question about that. Philip Chan, you are stardust. Thank you so much, Catherine Lord. I know you lost connection and I'm just picking up but to end the show. But remember, we have another interview, very, very important interview on Wednesday. You could tell us more about it, Philip.
Well, actually, it's my granddaughter. Actually, I haven't told her yet, but she's actually written a book. She's written a book called Friendship, and she was a very, very shy person 6 months ago. And through book and started doing research, she's coming out of her shell, and I'm so proud of her. And I hope that it will help her to lift her game and to give her confidence, and also to inspire. And I know, you have been a major factor in inspiring her as well, Marina. And I know when she actually get around Catherine, get Cat, you are going to help her with so much. And I just cannot wait for you to actually have a chat with her, because I know you can inspire her in such a way that there's no way I can. So I thank you for actually inviting me, and also to actually invite my granddaughter. And in fact, I am going to tell her when we get this show. So I said, did you know you just be invited to the show? You know, so that's going to be give her a extra boost to invitation to this, and also to on behalf of my granddaughter who will be chatting to you, which I'm going to let her know. Yeah, as soon as we get off this, I'm sure she cut weekend. And Marina, thank you again, inspiration, and also, in fact, Catherine, you are Stardust as well as Marina. You too are Stardust.
Hello, Catherine. Are you there? Would you like to share your thought or ask another question?
I've just got one last question for Philip, actually, if that's okay. For the time that I was here, I wondered if there was anything different that I brought to the interview that you've not had before.
When I hear people of a nanny, and you tend to kind of dismiss them, oh, you're just a nanny, you know. But that's my ignorance. But it's only when I actually met you the first time, and I thought, crikey, I didn't realize nanny do all this, and so I had to kick myself at the bottom and say, how dare you, make information, because time you think, oh, but actually no, you are actually creating the fundamental basis of the foundation, and what you're doing, some of the information, actually got your book, start reading it, and actually pass it on to my daughter to have a read anything new. It's obvious, but it was the book. So every nanny, parents who's got young now especially, need to buy your book information. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you,
you.
Kat.
Thank you. Over to you, Marina.
Well, I was waiting for you to tell us goodbye and invite us to your next show on Wednesday, and just make the news. Tell us what is exciting and happening in your life, Kat.
Brilliant. Yes. So thank you for listening, everybody. And I will be here again next Wednesday with Chloe Whiting about her book on friendship. And I'm very excited to share the news. Thank you and goodbye.
Goodbye.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Kat.
Thank you.
Marina, are we off air or are we still on air? Are we on air or I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. I'm trying to turn it off.
All right.
Thank you, Philip. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed that.